What's up, Dodger fans? Welcome into the LA Dodgers Brotherhood. I'm Ryan here with my brother Matthew, and today we have another edition of our player projection series. We have Blake Snell coming at you, another starting pitcher, another new acquisition, and I think, in a series of very notable acquisitions, is probably the most surprising to me, and also probably has the impact to be the most impactful this season at least. So Matt, let's talk about Blake Snell. What going into the offseason, I know we kind of talked about it in our previous videos that we made, but what were your like genuine, realistic expectations of being able to get him, and what was your reaction when he was signed?
Yeah, it was really interesting because it was like the first bit of news. I believe it was. I know what was it? I think it was like the week of
Yeah,
Thanksgiving,
it was
and it was
before
like bam
Thanksgiving.
right out the gate. He was the big like he was like the first big acquisition, and like following right after that World Series when there was all these targets. It was like a statement, like yeah, like we're the Dodgers, all right, and it just made everyone mad. And I remember being shocked because he was like the perfect target. He is exactly what I wanted. And the fact that we got him like right away when in pass, like literally last year he signed like like during spring training. I think
Yeah.
he barely even had spring training. And I know a lot of Giants fans are mad about that. So that's really why I was shocked about it. And like I said, it was the perfect signing. You compare it because it was the perfect signing because he's built for the Dodgers. Like if there's a team that can support Snell, it's the Dodgers because we know he doesn't go deep into games. Well, we have the best bullpen in baseball, and also we don't really need. We know we're gonna win the division. The division, excuse me. So all we care about is the playoffs. And this guy always gets going, or at least the last 2 years. The second half of the season, he was the best pitcher on the planet in both years. Because last year's beginning was terrible. Year before that, he won the Cy Young, obviously. So if he gets going like that again, because he neither team's made the playoffs. The Padres in 23, Giants in 24. Neither of them made the playoffs. Had they made the playoffs, and you had that red hot Snell going for them, that would have been scary. So it's a perfect fit. It was a perfect contract compared to like Freed getting 8 years. We definitely didn't need that. So again, all around, I thought it was a perfect signing. I was shocked when it happened, and I'm really really glad that Friedman was able to get it done. And I mean, when we signed them, I think I had like, okay, they got Snell. I had full belief like everything was gonna follow. I believe Teo was coming back, Kike was coming back. We're gonna get Sasaki. I don't know that it was like a statement right out the gate.
Yeah, it really was like the first. It was an actual domino effect. Like once we saw that they were willing to not care about just having one like full bore. We're going to improve as much as possible, and getting, in my opinion, by far the most like dangerous pitcher. Because you're right, Max Fried, you could almost guarantee that he's going to throw more innings, and he's good. I'm not going to act like he's not great, but if you're going for like the biggest punch you can throw at the most important time, there really was no other better option than Blake Snell. And your point about working up into the second half, you were kind of hesitant just because I don't think you had the stats in front of you. You were more than correct in saying that. In his okay, actually, let me go 2024 first. Last year, first half ERA 6.31, second half ERA 1.45. We and that's like that was much chronicle. He was dealing with injuries and the slow start, whatever, and he really picked it up. But that's not just the spring training. In his entire career, first half ERA 3.98, which isn't bad, but it's not the contract we signed him. Second half ERA, we're talking 500 innings of work in the second half, 2.32. He simply turns it on at the end of the year every single year. Even in the Cy Young years, which he has two of them, by the way, he like there's always a moment where you're wondering what happened to Blake Snell and how sustainable it is. Like because for Dodger fans that may be watching him in spring training and kind of scratching your head a bit, even though we're very familiar with him as Dodger fans, he is such an interesting pitcher because he will throw 90 pitches in 5 innings. You'll give up two hits. One of them might be a home run, but that'll be it. And so that's primarily the first half of every single season he has. And people are like, "How sustainable is this? How like he won a Cy Young, but how can you really believe that he's an elite pitcher?" And then invariably, second half of the season comes and he's just dominant. He'll have stretches of like 10, 15 games where his ERA is under two, like pushing like under one. It's really crazy. He's like an anomaly, realist. Like he's just different forever. Like his stuff is different. He, I'm stuttering a lot because really it's very difficult to talk about him as if he's a normal player. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is a normal player. I mean, that's kind of the best way to put it. And what we were saying about like he's the best of the pitchers this offseason. He's the guy that you'd want to throw that punch. Or you said something like that. I think it wasn't only this free agent class, but just in baseball. When every single pitcher's at their best, I think you could win the argument that you'd rather have Blake Snell there. And so, I mean, the question, and then I think a key point to this is there, for some reason, there's some people that say, like, well, you don't really know, like, what Snell you're going to get. I think what you laid out is what you're going to get, a slow start and he finishes strong. I think there's this, I think it's mistaken that he's inconsistent and he has the walks and all that stuff. He's been doing this for a while. We know what we're going to get. He's going to start off slow, then he's going to turn into the best pitcher in baseball. And that's gotten him 2 Cy Youngs. There's a reason he's only a one-time All-Star because he starts slow.
Yeah.
He has double the amount of Cy Youngs than he has All-Stars, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I think when we talked about Glass now, I said I wanted like a big season from him. I wanted like consistency on him to prove everyone wrong about the fact that he can't be the horse. I want Glass to be the horse, get innings, All-Star, all MLB. Snell, I could care less. I don't care if he pitches 2 games as long as he's red hot and he's ready for the playoffs. Like him compared to everyone else, because Snell's already proven it, he's already won the 2 Cy Youngs. All I care about is September and October. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, 100%. In his 20, just for further context, his 2023 Cy Young year, he was a great all year. His first half ERA was 2.85, and that's like elite level. But again, second half, 82 innings pitched, 1.54 ERA. Like it's just no matter what, even when he's good, the second half he will turn it up. And it's such an interesting like he's like a superstar version of Kike Hernandez to me. Like he's kind of going through mechanics, like working out the way he could best pitch. Obviously he's not going soft. He's not like trying to be bad. But it's very clear what parts of the season matter most to him. And it is when it matters most to him, he is absolutely going to turn it up. But yeah, to your point, I kind of feel this way about a lot of pitchers. All right, basically everybody on the team. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, September, October, by far the most important, and it's ironic because September we almost always struggle when we have our most elite teams, because it's just really difficult to know that you're coming up into October. You have the division locked, so it's difficult to be like, okay, now we have 20 more games to slog through before we get to where we know we're gonna be. So even so even in that, it is pretty funny, but excuse me, yeah. So I guess we have to. What were your impressions of him as a fan? I'm gonna just change a little bit. He's like I mentioned before. Dodger fans are incredibly familiar with Blake Snell. He pitched against us in the World Series. He notoriously dominated us until he was taken out early. He then got traded to the Padres, who become the most hated team in the Dodgers like ecosystem right now. And then from there, he went to the Giants last year. So obviously, as us as being like pretty rational fans or whatever, just like people that like the Dodgers more than hating anyone else. Did you think it's fair for some fans to be like, you've been like a primary enemy of us for a while, so it's gonna take me a while to warm up to you? Like, do you think that's fair?
No, I don't think it's fair at all. I think it's kind of silly. I mean, he got drafted by the Rays. You can't control that. He got traded to the Padres. You can't control that. And he signed with the Giants because no one wanted to give him that contract. Like it was one of those Boris 1 year deals. Like which it keeps happening for some reason. He won the Cy Young, and there's questions about the innings, the walks, all this kind of BS. And so I mean, it's like he's a Dodger now. But one thing I will say, because again, I think it's stupid, but there's obviously gonna be fans that think that. I think if there's a guy that can get over that as fast as possible, it's Blake Snell because of his personality. The guy's hilarious. I think he'll win over fans immediately. Maybe not quite as fast as Teoscar did, but kind of similar to that.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I I do think it's incredibly silly, but at the same time, I love just the emotions of sports fandom. So if that is you and you're like, I don't know, he's been all over the place. Every time he's like always a big adversary. More power to you. I'm not gonna be mad at you for that. But I do agree. It is silly. And I only brought that up because that was the sentiment. Not not by a lot of not by everybody, but I definitely saw that. So I just wanted to make that the case. Okay, so just about now is when we get into our projections. And we actually have some very interesting projections. Usually we go with Fangraphs only, and we are doing Fangraphs, but the baseball reference projections are actually much different. So I'm actually very happy about this because it gives us some more stuff to talk about. So, like always, Matt, stop me when you hear a stat. We're going with Fangraphs first. Stop me when you hear a stat you think is either like crazy, like an outlier that won't happen, or that you don't want to happen. So wins and losses, they say he's going 12-8, whatever. 29 games started. That is the leader actually for all of the current starting pitchers projections. 170 innings pitched, also the leader. And that it does kind of match what I said. I think it was during the Yamamoto projection where Blake Snell somehow, ironically, has kind of become the horse. Like in my mind, like you could pencil him in. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be ready, which is not who he's been in his career. Anyway, Ks per nine, 11.69. That is the leader. Uh, and then let's get to the real juicy stuff. ERA. Whoa. Okay. If I set the line at 3.3, would you go over or under for this projection?
I think I think under, considering his last 2 years.
Okay. They have him at a 3.51.
Yeah, that's kind of outrageous because I mean 3.51. I mean, we just talked about how horrible his beginning of the season was last year. He finished with a 3.12,
Yeah.
and now he's with the Dodgers. I don't know. That's kind of. I mean, again, the projections are always higher than
Yeah.
what they usually are, but I think he would have had more respect because of who he is.
Yeah. It would be the first time since 2021 that he's had an ERA at that level. And I don't think that will happen. But like I said, we have the I was going to say Bleacher Report, the baseball reference projections. And this is notably different for a couple reasons. I'm only going to go to the main two. Innings pitched. Remember, Fangraphs is 170. Baseball Reference has him at 130. But ERA, Fangraphs was 3.51. They have Bleacher. I gotta keep saying Bleacher Report. Baseball Reference has him at a 3.12. So just taking those two things into account, not worrying about how much he's gonna get there, because we know he's a pretty good strikeout pitcher or whatever. Would you rather have the 3.12 ERA in 130 innings, or leading the team in innings pitched, but at around a 3.5?
Um, I mean, it's tough because I don't want him to say like he gets injured, but I think the
Yeah.
3.12 would be more valuable for the team because that would probably mean that he had one of those dominant like finishes to the season, and you need him at his very best. And again, those innings you're gonna get are hopefully you're gonna get a lot of innings from Yama, a lot of innings from Glass now. So I mean, as long as it's not like 90 or something ridiculous, I would probably take the better year, but slightly less innings.
Yeah, I think the point you made, I didn't even think about. Like, considering who he is, and this is not like a guess, he invariably will be better in the second half than the first half. So, with that structure, for him to end up at a 3.5, that would mean he had a really, really bad first half. And I would not, I don't want to trade that for 40 extra innings. So, thank you for bringing that up because that actually made me think. Because I was honestly considering 170 innings, like, because I like I trust you in the playoffs. Just get there, give us some more length. But yeah, thinking about it in the context of who Blake Snell is going to be and just how he pitches through the season, yeah, I would 100% take the 3.12 in the shorter innings for sure. All right, so if you missed our first couple videos, every single time we end off the player, we have a prediction. Like a fun prediction, something that's not necessarily like specific stats or whatever. Matt, have you cooked up a Blake Snell 2025 season prediction?
Yeah, I think that this is okay. I haven't looked at what the highest he's gotten to, but my prediction is he has, I'll say a 14, I'll say 15 strikeout game. I think he has one game. I was gonna say no hitter, but the Dodgers haven't thrown a no hitter in a while.
Hmm.
I can guarantee you there's going to be a game against some random team who's just going to dominate. I'm going to say he has 15 strikeouts in a game.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna be. This is a lot of. Actually, you know what? I I was going to say because he's right now on schedule. Slash, Dave Roberts hinted at him being the home opening day starter. I was gonna say I'm thinking like 7+ inning shutout opening day just set the tone, but I don't know if he's gonna be built up for that. So I'm gonna pivot and say he's going to throw multiple complete game shutouts. He only he had one last year and he tied the league lead. So
Mm.
it's just gonna go. This is going out on a limb, but something about I don't know, just the energy. I think it's gonna happen. I think they're gonna really let him run loose, and he's gonna feel settled in from the beginning. So that there we go. Two fun little predictions. Let us know yours in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back, like I said, daily videos going up until opening day, and then we have a whole bunch of new content coming out from there. So yeah, thanks for watching. Go Dodgers.